Just a quick one before we dive in. I've just opened up 2 brand new ways to work with me. If you're an established beauty professional who's ready to increase your revenue, either in your clinic or by moving into the online mentoring and educational space, you can join me for a 2-month container where we build and validate your first online offer or your next big move. Or if you're ready to go all in, there is a 7-month private mentorship where we build, launch and scale your new revenue stream together. If you're not sure which one's right for you, I'm offering a handful of free business clarity calls, quick and powerful to map out your fastest path and to see which container fits best. Just DM me the word revenue on Instagram or check the link in the show notes and email me. Let's get into the episode.
Welcome to the Beauty Build podcast with me, Zara King. As a coach for beauty pros, it is my mission to help you earn more, work less, and create an unstoppable mindset. This is the show where we explore all of that. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your beauty business, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and join us on the journey. And for more, get yourself inside my private community, The Beauty Build on Facebook. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for listening and just always being here. If you're new here, welcome. I am excited to get in today's episode for you. If you love what you hear, please do take a screenshot, pop it on your stories and tag me on your socials at Zara King. I really like to see who's listening and I really like to hear your thoughts, so please do that. And likewise as well, if there is anything that you would like to hear on this podcast, please do get in touch and let me know, because I'm always here for it if you've got any suggestions. Apologies again, 2nd episode in a row where I am feeling under the weather, can't seem to shift this chesty cough this winter, but I'm moving on from it. Let's just get on with the episode and see how we go. So this episode, I was asked to get a little bit more kind of deeper into systems and what I would recommend and how efficiency can be achieved through just literally systemizing everything, right? So I was asked to do that, and I think I will go into a few pieces of where I think systems can really help you out. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Your time is your most precious thing on this planet, in this world, because at the end of the day, you are on a timer. We all are. We don't know when our time is up. We don't know how long we will live. We don't know how long we have to achieve our goals, and we're never going to get any time back. Every single day we lose another 24 hours, right? So once that time has ticked away, it's not coming back. Like, you cannot gamble this. You cannot trade it in. You just can't get more of it. It's not like, gambling and getting more money. We can get more money. We can get all the rest of it. People come and go, everything else, but time is literally not going to come back. So we have to be super careful with where we spend our time, and that's where efficiency comes in. That is why I think efficiency and productivity is absolutely crucial to your success, especially in the beauty industry as well, because you need to be efficient not only when you're with your clients, because you're probably on a time frame and that will help you increase your revenue if you can be efficient, but also when you're not with your clients, because obviously in this podcast we help self-employed beauty pros, right? So most of you are working alone. Some of you have maybe a couple of people that work in the same place as you, maybe not for you. Some of you might do, but generally speaking, I personally help and coach beauty business owners who are self-employed and do everything themselves. So if that doesn't tell you time is precious, I don't really know what does. So you have to think about it in a way where we want to be a super efficient when we're with the clients and while we're not with the clients. So this is why we really want to systemize everything. We want to streamline our complete entire operation, really. So if we can leverage systems, whether or not you're putting those systems into place like manually yourself to set you up, or you're sort of investing in a system, I want you to think about systems as systemized things today in this episode, because you don't always have to pay out for a specific software system, if that makes sense. It can be like a manual system that you've made work for you. So I'm talking about like systemizing things, but of course there is technology as well that can massively enhance your productivity. So therefore, it's going to enhance your success. So I've got 7 points for you today. If you've noticed, by the way, I do 7 points quite often. 7's my favourite number, and I just really enjoy using 7 points. And funnily enough, sometimes, as if by magic, I think about things and it ends up being a 7 anyway. That's what happened today. So I've got 7 points where I think systems and systemising these areas of your business will have the most impact, right? This is what I would do in my beauty business. This is what I did do. This is what I recommend. So the first one is appointments. I think it's a very, very good idea to have an appointment system and client management system. So this is where you need a booking system, in my opinion, right? Yes, you can have a paper diary, but I just don't think that is efficient enough. I think this one needs to be tech. So you need to have a system where clients can actually book online. That is the best benefit of these systems that we have these days, is that clients can actually take control of their bookings. Go online, find your slots, everything's laid out in front of them. You still have control over the diary as such, because you open the hours and all the rest of it, and you put in your buffer times and you put in everything. But they can go online and they can book. And not only that, but then a system, like a booking system, your platform, will then automate things like their reminders, right? So you're not doing that. And then that reduces no-shows, and it has a knock-on effect. So it reduces cancellations, it reduces reschedules, and especially no-shows. Obviously, as I say, it's the worst thing in the world when we get a missed appointment, somebody doesn't turn up, and we kick ourselves, should we have reminded them or not? If we have a paper diary and we've not been reminding people, is that our fault? I've been there, I've done that. And no, it's not necessarily your fault, but you could have, had these things in place to prevent. I always say prevention is better than cure. And so if you had a system that's sending out reminders and they realise they couldn't attend their appointment, then they could let you know within your policy, and that would be much better for you and for your business and for the client. But if you've got policies in place already, again, this is another knock-on effect of having a system, because say somebody does actually have to cancel or reschedule and it's after your notice period, that system can then tell them you can't do that without being charged, right? And then what's going to happen is they'll be deterred to actually cancel it. They'll figure something out. They'll miraculously get childcare and they'll be at the appointment. I can bet you bottom dollar that is what's going to happen. It really does limit the no-shows, the cancellations, the reschedules. I had mine down to literally 0%. Okay, so that is the thing, and it eliminates that manual having to go in, look at a diary, figure out when's best for both of you, the to and forth, back and forth, to and fro in messages with one client that can take you like an hour or a couple of hours. If they don't reply, and then you're waiting on them and then they're waiting on you. It is insane. So for that one, definitely an online booking system, which is a software. So it is actually a technical thing, because it's just so much better for you. I've just listed about 5 things there that will A, make you look so much more professional, but B, save you money. At the end of the day, I have beauty pros a lot of the time ask me, Zara, which one do you recommend and is it worth the money? And I will always say, yes, of course it's worth the money. That company makes your life so much easier by building that software that they've built for you, right? They deserve to be paid really well for that. And also, let's think about how many hours you spend on the things I've just mentioned, right? So booking them in the first place, sending the reminders, dealing with a cancellation or no-show, chasing any fees if you're chasing fees, which I definitely hope you're not doing, right? Rescheduling people, going back and forth in messages. How many hours have you spent on that? Per week, maybe, if you don't have a booking system. Just add that up and think about your hourly rate, right? Because you're not getting paid for it. So think about your hourly rate, see where your time's better spent, and trust me, it will be worth the monthly fee. I think most of them are, on average, about 25 quid for a professional that works on their own, like the self-employed beauty pro that I kind of help. So they're definitely worth the money. That's the first thing. The second place that I think is a really good, important one to have in your business, and this could be manual. And in my business, it was manual. And I think there are systems that do bookings and everything that actually allow you to track this as well. But in my business, it was manual, and I think it's quite easy to do this manually on Excel. And that's stock, inventory. And it is a boring one, but I think just having a system that alerts you, right? Whether it gives you it comes up in red and says you're low, like on an Excel spreadsheet, and you formulate it to let you know when the numbers are low and things like that. Yeah, you have to keep on top of it and type things in. But if you have it formulated so that it spits out a red sign, it's like, oh, you need to order that in. Everything else is in green kind of thing. However you do it, if you're Excel savvy, this kind of thing, streamlining your stock levels, is really going to help you, because it will streamline that order process. Because again, what I think you should do is systemise, what the stock is, where it's from, how much it is, right? So that you can see how much stock you're sitting on. And the reason I say it is because so many beauty pros that I help are sitting on so much stock, okay? And it's a hell of a lot of money to be sitting on. And then they're buying more. And I'm like, why are we doing that? And you may not be guilty of it, but a lot of people are. And depending on the services that they offer, it could be, especially in nails, when people are buying more and more colours, more and more glitters, more and more, sorry to the brands out there that don't want me to say this, but buying more and more artwork supplies, buying more and more stuff, okay? Let's just have a think about it, shall we? Are we running a profit and loss sheet? Are we looking at that against our monthly figures? Because if you're not, and a lot of self-employed beauty pros aren't, then you might be in a little bit of trouble. Things need to be profitable in your business. And if they're not, this could be one of the areas that's holding you back from getting into a good profit, a decent profit. And I've just seen it so many times. So that is why it's number 2, because I think it's super important, right? It's important to have this systemized and have this process to save you money on sitting on overstock, for example, but also save you, wasting and buying extras that you really don't need. And it gives you that insight to be able to make informed decisions and have maybe a stock pot so that you're not always eating into the profit of your business. That's number 2. So number 3 is marketing and social media automation. So there's a few ways that you can do this, right? You can invest in a software that will help you schedule your posts. So you have, that can tell you analytics as well, which is really good. There are a few different ones and you can research that. I won't go into it in this episode, but you can have a system that does that for you. You could hire a social media manager, and that would also deal with not only scheduling posts out and things and posting for you, but it'll also deal with engaging with your audience. So that could be important to you. Or you could just systemize this stuff yourself to the best of your abilities by having time blocks for when you're going to create, when you're going to engage, when you're going to take time to actually schedule, okay? Because you need these sections, this plan, send, schedule, these sections need to be sorted. And if there's no systemization going on and it's a bit willy-nilly, it's one of the biggest reasons why people get imposter syndrome and start, getting into that comparison mode, and they stop and they get scared of posting for a few weeks because they don't feel good enough, because they don't have it all systemized. They're not confident in themselves, and they're so inconsistent that it has a knock-on effect to their confidence, because the results aren't going to be great, right? So it's so important to make sure that you have this consistent presence of showing up where you show up online. So I think it's super important to systemize it. And whether or not you do that, I've done it both ways. I've done it in a way where I've had somebody do it for me. I've also had it done in a way where I have a company do it for me. As in, I've had it so that one person was just sort of putting in the posts that I was planning and doing. And then I've had another time in my business where, a company was doing it for me, and they were actually looking at analytics and they were engaging and all the rest of it. That didn't last that long. I can't remember how long that lasted. I think it was about 3-4 months. Anyway, so that is super important, I think, because again, it frees up your time, and it's one of the biggest ways that we market our business in this day and age is through social media. So the reason I think it's super important to systemize it is so that you can stay confident with it. That's the main thing, because it's so important that we are consistent on social media to grow our beauty businesses. I think it's very, very important. So that's number 3. Number 4, where I think a system in place is a really good idea in your beauty business, is for your retail. So a lot of you will have retail sitting on the shelves in your beauty room, or if you're mobile, you'll have pieces that you take with you sometimes. If you don't, have a research about what you can retail, because it's a really good area of extra revenue for your business. I've got one coaching client who has 50% of her revenue coming in from retail. So that is huge. It's not always 50%, but it is up there, and that was what she last reported back to me. So if you have a website, and this is where I think paying for a software type of system is really good, you can have a website that has e-commerce attached to it that will obviously have a basket so that your clients can go on and reorder whatever it is that they need. Okay. And in my business, what I did was I didn't even have any delivery options because I didn't want to have to do that manual delivery type thing. So I just had an option on there of collection, and that was, collect at your next appointment. So it'd be ordered, it would be paid for. I would get that through, and I would put that aside at their next appointment. You can do it so that there's delivery, obviously, because you'll get more sales that way if your clients want that delivery service. So if you have that, I think there are booking systems that can integrate with your website, and people can add things onto their bookings and things like that as well. So you're making money by, while you're sleeping, pretty much, if they are going on and ordering at their own convenience whenever they want. Okay. And you can also realize that not only does that reduce your admin time, it just increases the professionalism and the efficiency and the convenience, as I've said, for the client. So that client is going to respect you and your business far more, because they're going to think this person has their shit together, right? So this type of thing is a trick that you shouldn't be missing in the beauty industry. There are so many products that your clients will be buying on different websites like Amazon, for example, right? That you could be retailing to them, and either earning a decent markup from, your wholesalers and things like that and your brands that you use, or you can actually go into making product yourself. And that's another thing for you to research. That's completely different. We can talk about that on another episode. So that's number 4. And then number 5 is the client communication. I think it's so important to systemise this, okay? So things like follow-ups, and I've touched on a little bit of this with the booking systems in general, with reminders and stuff. But if you think about follow-ups and the whole client journey, right, and marketing to your clients, i.e. via a text message or via email and just after their appointment and things, this is stuff that you necessarily, you just have to have. This is what sets you apart from the people that are just not really treating their business like a business. This is what will create that loyalty with your customers for your business. So you can have systems, and your booking system should be able to do this, but you can also have software that will automate email marketing systems, that type of thing. But I remember, back in the day, 2011, when I started my beauty business, I used to hold everyone's information on one of those little cards, right? One of those consultation cards in a little black box, and I'd keep it in there. And I remember the day that I was like, oh my goodness, let me see how many emails I've got, because I learned about email marketing, right? And I was thinking, wow, there are so many people in here that I can't even remember. Okay, then this is the good thing about having a CRM system or an email marketing system, and it can be done through your booking system. Okay, so really research what's the best value for money. How do you want to go about it? Because booking systems will charge you slightly extra for email marketing, or you could just get an email marketing system that actually allows you to send up to however many emails for free. Okay, so that could be a better option for you. It depends on how many clients you've got, how many emails you're going to be sending and things like that. But the thing is with this is it's almost it's huge, it's limitless. You've got so many bits that you can do. And, not only does it keep their information safe, imagine not remembering that you haven't seen someone for 6 months. These systems can tell you things like that, right? They can tell you who hasn't been in for 6 months on your booking systems, and then you can email them. Okay, so I really recommend that you have the both hand in hand, a booking system that keeps client records and everything, and then something to email if you're not doing it through the booking system. I really recommend having the two hand in hand, because you want to know the history of every client that you see. You want to know the communication history. Maybe you want to make notes on a client. Maybe you want to remember something to be able to talk about at their next appointment. Maybe you want to follow up with them. Maybe, you want to keep in touch. That's the best thing. You want to be able to personalize marketing to them and to their needs. And you can segment your email contact lists into treatments, or into, they haven't been back in 6 months, I'm going to send them a "we miss you" email. Or they go into a different segment. Maybe they came on board because there was a package going on in the summer. I don't know. I'm just making things up as I go along here. And they're in that segment. I don't know. They're literally limitless. So many different ways that you can use this to personalize things, get in front of people, keep in touch with people, and integrate everything, right? Entirely up to you the way you use everything, but it really builds stronger relationships. And email marketing is one of the most successful methods of marketing. I think it's the most successful method. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I did a training, and in one of my coaching trainings, and I remember the stats at that time were that email marketing was on top. It's so, so, so important. And you know why? Because it's actually so personal, you know? So the success rates are huge with email marketing. Please do not overlook it. But again, you can do things like in text message. So if you're not going to systemize that with a software, think about how you can systemize things like text. Maybe, or there are ways that you can do emails, and you can have a business address and you can get people to agree to be sent emails, right? So you don't have to necessarily have a system, but you do have to let them agree. So it would need to be on the consultation form or something for you to keep in touch via email. They have to agree to you holding their details for email marketing. So if it is the case that you're going to just do it yourself, you can do that. But again, systemize it. If it's text message or email, whatever way it is, systemize it so that you have set time slots. You have set times where you're going to plan, you're going to schedule, you're going to send or whatever. Because again, systemizing everything to save you some time is the best thing. And if you do use a software system that you have to either pay for, or maybe it's free up to a certain point, like I mentioned, it will save you a hell of a lot of time. That admin time is invaluable. Trust me, I've been there, done that. So moving on, number 6, and the next place that I think it is super important to systemize in your beauty business. And this one's a bit of a different one, right? It's probably not what you think it's going to be, but it's so important to always be keeping on top of your skill set and, you know, your investments, your up leveling. And it's really common for people to always be taking new courses and doing new things like that in this industry anyway. So I think it's really important to systemize things like your learning development. So, you know, keeping on top of your qualifications and your skills. And this is probably a system that you need to do manually. And it's something that I would keep on a digital kind of platform that you can, you know, whichever way you want to do this, it's entirely up to you. Excel, Word, whatever, folders, even, there's many options. But the worst thing that you can do is, you know, not really know how up to date you are with all of your qualifications and courses and development. Because what I find happening with beauty pros that I help is they don't remember dates, they don't remember courses, they don't know what that covered, so then they want to go into education but they don't know what qualification levels they're at. And what they do is they end up overspending on courses that they didn't necessarily need as well. So you don't want to be doing that. You know, I think a lot of the time we get a little bit sidetracked with thinking, well, if I do another course in nail art, if I do another course in a different technique for eyelashes or whatever it is, or add some sort of aesthetics to my my menu, or I add something else, I'm going to get better clientele, I'm going to earn more money, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And sometimes it's actually not a doing the do kind of course that you need or development that you need. Sometimes it's actually a business course that you need, right? Sometimes it's actually a copywriting course that you need, or you want to go into digital marketing, or you need to learn a bit more about social media, or you want to learn a bit more about email marketing or business, or, you know, figures, numbers. So it's completely important to track everything. And I know to me it sounds a bit silly. It's like, well, surely people should be doing this, but because I've come across so many people who don't do this, and then they want to like pivot their business, or they want to go into education, or they want to do something, and they don't know what level of qualifications they're at, and they don't remember dates, or maybe they've been in the industry and then they've come out of the industry, then they've gone back in and they don't know what their course covered, they don't know if it's up to date. It's just, I think I wanted to touch on it because of that reason, because there are so many times that I've come across that. And number 7 is a really fun one: the systemization of knowing your sales figures. So important. And again, system or not, as in software system or not, you 100% need this. Okay. Not only do you need to know how much money you're making, right, daily, weekly, monthly, and all the rest of it, you also need to know the client retention rates. You also need to know the average client spend, right? So how much money on average does each client spend with you at an appointment? You need to know things like the trends in revenue for months, you know, and years on trend. You need to know what's popular. You need to know what products are popular if you're doing retail. Your services, obviously. There are so many figures that you really want to know. And obviously, if you have a booking system, like I've discussed in a couple of other points, if you have a booking system, then you can systemize this super easily. And then you know your numbers and you can make better decisions and you can stay on track and you can set clearer goals and you can get really precise and you can make better business decisions moving forward, because your business needs to be in profit, and knowing all of these figures is really going to help you get in profit and stay in profit. So when you know all of that, you're going to be identifying patterns, and you're going to have areas where you know you need to improve, and then you're going to work on improving it, and you will, because what you focus on is going to grow. So there'll be loads of improvement. You'll be earning more. You'll probably be working less, and you'll definitely have an unstoppable mindset because you'll know that you're confident with all of this stuff. So systemizing stuff in your beauty business is absolutely key to unlocking the next level of success for you personally. So whatever that looks like for you in your business, because it's different for everyone, but systemization increases productivity and professionalism as well, and your reputation. And what that does is it increases your success, and it gets you to bigger and better things and more opportunities and more revenue and more profitability, which is the main thing in business. It gets you there much quicker. So focus on what you can, systemize what you can, but I would focus on what you can do best with the capacity that you have in your current circumstances right now. Let the systems help you if you can, and I highly recommend you do. Or maybe it's that you let someone else kind of come in and help you with things. Maybe it's not a software, but it's a person. Or you just create systems yourself, right? Which is, I've done that so many times. I still do that to this day in my business. So many things I systemize myself. And it sometimes takes a little bit of time. It can sometimes be a bit of a ball ache. And do you know what I think? Once it's done, it's done. This kind of work, when you know it's all set up and stuff, you get into a pattern with things, and you get into that rhythm of reviewing things and, inputting the data, planning things, scheduling things, doing what you have to do with that system. But once the actual thing is set up and ready, it's ready, and it will serve you for years and years and years, and you just have to keep on top of it, right? So I encourage you, have a little think about that. And let me know your thoughts. And, I hope you've really enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights that will help you in your beauty business and life. If you did, please take a screenshot and tag me in your stories. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my socials. The links are always in the descriptions. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more and more great content. Until next time, keep building that business.